Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. I wasn't planning on going out that night. Halloween's just different when you're older. You stop caring about costumes and candy, and it just becomes another excuse for drunk people to wear horns and fake blood. I was fine staying in, maybe hand out candy, maybe scroll until I fell asleep. But my roommate Eric wouldn't let it go. He burst into my room, already half in costume, flannel shirt, fake axe wound on his neck, grinning like a kid. "Come on, man, you're not doing anything," he said. "I don't even have a costume," I told him. He waved a hand. "It's a Halloween party." "That's the point. Nobody cares. Just wear black or something." He mentioned it was at a house a friend of a friend rented for the weekend. Said it was gonna be massive. I didn't recognize the name of the host, but I didn't think much about it. People crash random parties all the time, right? So I threw on a dark hoodie, grabbed the cracked mask from last year, and said fine. 1 hour. I told myself I'd leave if it got weird. We left around 9. The night was cold, that kind of quiet cold where the air feels heavy. Eric plugged in his phone, blasting some dumb remix. I watched the streets get emptier as we drove. Houses went from decorated to bare. Porch lights disappeared. It started feeling like we were driving away from Halloween, not toward it. When we finally turned down the street, I remember saying, "Are you sure this is it?" He just nodded. Most of the houses were dark. No cars, no noise, except one at the very end. Its porch light burned this deep orange, and fog curled out from under the steps. From far away, it looked festive, but the closer we got, the less it felt like a decoration. The fog wasn't thin. It was thick, like someone was pumping it from inside. Eric parked 2 houses down because the street in front was full of cars, every space taken. That part didn't make sense either. It wasn't even that big of a house. We walked up the driveway. The yard was dark, grass damp. No fake gravestones, no strings of lights, just one jack-o'-lantern by the door. It wasn't carved like a normal face either. No eyes, no smile. Just one wide hole down the center and candlelight flickering inside. I asked if he knew anyone here besides his friend. He shrugged. "Nah, it's one of those bring whoever things." That should have been the first red flag. Before we could knock, the door opened on its own. Someone wearing a skull mask leaned out. He didn't say hi, didn't ask who we were, just stepped back, like he'd been waiting. The smell hit first. Not bad exactly, just thick, like old candles and smoke, and something sweet underneath. Music played from inside, low and slow, not like a normal party. I don't know how else to describe it. It didn't have a beat, just a kind of pulsing sound, like breathing. We walked in and the door shut behind us. The first thing I noticed was the light. It wasn't bright. It came from candles, Lamps, a few orange bulbs hung along the walls. Shadows stretched long. Everything looked slightly off color, like the room was painted in a way your eyes didn't like focusing on. And the costumes. God, the costumes. I thought people were just committed. A witch with yellowed teeth, a vampire with eyes that didn't catch light, someone in a scarecrow mask with straw coming out of their sleeves. It looked damp, real. Everywhere I turned, people moved slow, deliberate. No laughter, no shouts over the music. Just this dull hum of conversation, voices low and steady. Eric clapped me on the shoulder. See? Not bad. I nodded, even though my stomach felt tight. We drifted through the crowd. Some people nodded as we passed, but most just stared. Not unfriendly, just too long, too still, like they were waiting for me to speak first. I grabbed a drink from the counter, didn't touch it. The liquid inside was almost black under the light. There weren't any decorations, I realized. No fake spider webs, no skeletons, no string lights, just the people. It looked like an empty house filled to bursting. No photos on the walls, no furniture except a few mismatched chairs. The floorboards creaked under every step. Eric disappeared into another room. I tried to follow but lost him in the crowd. Everywhere I turned, faces half hidden behind masks stared back. I kept telling myself I was overthinking, that parties always feel weird when you don't know anyone. But as I moved through the house, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the sound, the way people spoke. Their voices didn't mix. It wasn't chatter. It was layered, like whispers under the music. When I looked for a speaker, I couldn't find one. The music didn't seem to be coming from anywhere. After about 15 minutes, I'd had enough. I went to find the front door again, but it wasn't where I remembered. I passed the hallway twice, ended up in a different room entirely. Candles everywhere, windows draped shut. The air was hot, heavy. I finally spotted the skull mask guy again. Same spot, same drink. He looked right at me. "You made it," he said. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He smiled, or at least, I think he did. The mask didn't move, but I felt it. That sense you get when someone smiles without showing teeth. That's when I realized something. I hadn't seen a single person take off their mask. Not once. I told myself to relax. Just a weird crowd, right? Artsy types, maybe. The kind of people who stay in character all night. I've been to parties like that before. Awkward at first, then fun once you loosen up. So I walked deeper into the room, trying not to stare at anyone too long. The air smelled like melted wax and something sour underneath. A slow, pulsing song thudded from somewhere I couldn't see. No DJ, no speakers. The walls seemed to hum with it. Someone brushed my arm. When I looked, it was a woman dressed as a witch. Pale green paint over her face, black shawl, silver eyeshadow. Only her eyes caught the candlelight wrong. They didn't reflect it. She grinned and whispered something, but her voice was too low to catch. I tried to joke, asked if she made her costume herself. She tilted her head, watching me too closely. Her lips moved, slow, like she was repeating the question back, but no sound came out. Then she turned and drifted away into the crowd. I wanted to find Eric. He'd vanished right after we walked in. Every time I thought I saw him, plaid shirt, fake axe wound, it turned out to be someone else. Everyone was moving strange, too smooth, like they were being guided through the room. I stopped near a table stacked with glasses and bottles. All the drinks were the same color, dark red, almost black. No beer cans, no soda, no ice, just one thick liquid that left streaks on the glass. A man in a skull mask was standing there, pouring. Same mask as the guy who opened the door. "Drink?" he asked, holding one out. The voice was calm, polite, familiar. I said no thanks. My throat was dry, but I didn't want to touch anything in that house. He tilted his head slightly, then turned away, murmuring to himself. Not words, just low sounds, like someone humming into a wall. I backed off, trying to act casual. The music kept looping the same pattern, a steady dragging rhythm that didn't line up with how anyone moved. Some people swayed too slow, others didn't move at all. I caught sight of a guy by the wall wearing a scarecrow outfit. Straw poked out from under his sleeves. Real straw, not the shiny craft kind. It was dark at the tips, like it had been dipped in something. When he shifted, I heard it crunch. His face was wrapped in burlap, but his mouth was exposed, cracked, dry, like the skin had been stretched thin. He stared at me without blinking, didn't move, didn't even sway to the beat, just stood there until I looked away. I decided to go find Eric. There were stairs in the back, old, narrow ones, leading up to a hallway. The light up there flickered. I called out his name, but the music below swallowed it. The hall was lined with shut doors. No laughter, no noise behind any of them. Just silence and candlelight spilling through cracks. The wallpaper peeled in long strips. Dust clung to my sleeves when I brushed the wall. Halfway down, I found a small bathroom. The door was half open. Steam curled from the sink. I thought maybe Eric was in there, so I knocked. No answer. I stepped inside. The mirror above the sink was fogged over. Not from hot water, though. The tap was off. The glass itself felt warm, like someone had breathed on it for too long. When I wiped a streak clear, the reflection didn't look right. The light flickered, and for a second, my face looked like someone else's. I blinked hard. When I looked again, it was normal. Just me, just bad lighting. I turned to leave and nearly walked into someone standing in the doorway. A man, or at least I think it was, wearing a full suit and a rabbit mask. Tall ears, red eyes painted on. He didn't move aside. We just stood there, me waiting for him to say something. When I tried to squeeze past, his head tilted, slow. The ears scraped the door frame, and then softly, almost kindly, he said, "You shouldn't be here yet." Before I could ask what he meant, he stepped away into the hall and vanished down the stairs. I didn't follow. I just stood there, listening. The music had changed. The low thrum from before was gone. Now it was quieter, like breathing, slow and heavy, coming from every wall. When I finally made it back downstairs, the crowd looked different. Not bigger, just denser, like more people had filled the same space. Their faces turned as I passed. They didn't speak, but their heads followed me in unison, like plants leaning toward light. I spotted Eric near the back door, or what I thought was a door. The shape of one, no handle, just a frame in the wall. He looked pale. He saw me, mouthed something, but I couldn't read his lips. Before I could reach him, someone stepped between us. A woman with a long veil over her face. She smiled. I could see her teeth through the fabric, but not her eyes. And then I realized no one had laughed all night. I finally spotted Eric again, across the room, near the back. He wasn't dancing or talking, just standing there, scanning faces like he didn't recognize anyone. I started moving toward him, careful not to bump into anyone. Every time I brushed a shoulder, the person turned to look at me, too fast, like they'd been waiting. When I reached him, he grabbed my wrist. His hand was cold. "Hey," I said. "You okay?" He nodded, but his eyes didn't match the motion. "We shouldn't stay long." "Why? What happened?" He shook his head, gaze darting around. "I don't think they're..." Then he stopped. His eyes flicked to something over my shoulder. I turned. Nothing, just the same crowd. When I looked back, he was gone again, slipped into the noise, swallowed whole. I tried calling his name, but the music drowned it out. The sound had changed again, slower, lower, more like a heartbeat than a song. I couldn't tell where it was coming from anymore. The crowd didn't dance to it. They just swayed in place. I swear their heads moved on the same rhythm. Even their breathing lined up. My chest started tightening. I needed space. I pushed through to the kitchen, thinking maybe there'd be a window, a breeze, something. The smell hit first. Raw meat, old blood. On the counter were plates stacked high with red flesh, not steak, not cooked, no grill marks, no seasoning, just meat, wet, glistening, piled high like it was meant to be shared. A few guests stood nearby, motionless. One of them, a man in a cracked porcelain mask, reached down, pinched a piece between his fingers, and lifted it to his mouth. His hand trembled as he chewed, but his eyes never blinked. The sound turned my stomach. Wet, slow. He swallowed and smiled at me. I stepped back fast, bumped into someone behind me, a tall figure in a long black coat. I muttered an apology, no response. When I turned to look, their face was covered by a paper mask, blank white except for two uneven holes. The edges fluttered slightly, like breath was moving beneath it. They didn't step aside, didn't move at all. I brushed past and ducked into the hallway. It was darker there, quieter. The only light came from candles set into glass jars on the floor, each one flickering like it was struggling for air. I noticed something else. The walls weren't decorated. No fake webs, no banners. Nothing to show this was a party. The longer I looked, the more I realized the house wasn't decorated at all. No family photos, no clutter, just blank, empty walls. The only thing that filled it was them. The sound of whispers drifted through the vents. At first, I thought it was just music feedback, air passing through ducts. But then I heard my name, soft, drawn out. Hey, like someone right beside me. I turned fast, empty hallway. Another voice whispered closer, then another behind the wall. Dozens layered on top of each other, all saying things I couldn't understand. The sound wasn't coming from one place. It moved, circling me. The air felt thick, like it pressed against my skin. I tried to find a bathroom, maybe splash water on my face, take a second to breathe. The first door I opened was a coat closet. At least I thought it was. Inside, coats hung in a line, heavy and dark. They looked damp. When I touched one, my fingers came away sticky. I stepped back. The smell hit then. Copper, rot, something chemical underneath. One of the coats dripped onto the floor. There was no hanger, no hook, just a shape. Something hanging wrong under the fabric. I shut the door fast. My heart was hammering. Down the hall, I saw a mirror, tall, freestanding, silver frame. It hadn't been there before. The glass shimmered like smoke trapped inside. I stepped closer, and the reflection rippled. Not the room behind me, just me. My face stretched and blurred, like it couldn't decide where to land. Something moved in the reflection, a dark shape standing behind me. I turned. Nothing. When I looked back, it was gone. But the mirror still shook, faintly, like it had been touched. That's when I realized how quiet the house had gotten. The music had stopped. No chatter, no footsteps. Just that thick silence pressing against my ears. From somewhere deeper in the house, I heard a door creak open, long, slow, wood bending under strain. Then a voice, calm, deep. Midnight approaches. Prepare the host. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to. I backed away, heart pounding, breath shallow. My hand brushed the wall. It was warm like skin. That's when I knew I had to find Eric. Whatever this was, it wasn't a party anymore. It was something else. I stood there breathing hard. The music had stopped. The whispers too. For the first time all night, the house was silent. I should have left right then. I should have broken a window or screamed or done something, but I didn't. I just stood there, frozen in that heavy air, listening to my own heartbeat. Then, footsteps, slow, heavy, coming from somewhere deeper inside. The crowd started turning one by one, all facing the same direction. Their movements were too smooth, too coordinated, like a single body made of many. A figure stepped into the room, tall, broad-shouldered, skin pulled tight where it shouldn't, the one I'd seen before, with the stitched mask. But now, up close, I realized it wasn't a mask at all. The seams ran deep into his flesh, pulling it together like something had torn him apart and forced him back wrong. He raised a hand, and every candle in the house dimmed at once. Not out, just low enough that the shadows reached us. When he spoke, it wasn't loud, but every word seemed to vibrate in my ribs. Midnight comes. Let the feast begin. The crowd answered in a single breath. Not words, just noise. A low, rattling moan that made my skin crawl. I started backing away. My legs felt weak. Someone brushed against my shoulder, cold skin, slick. Eric appeared beside me, eyes wide, face pale. "We need to go," he whispered. "I know," I said. "Where's the door?" He pointed toward the front of the house, but the hallway was gone. Just a wall now, pulsing faintly with light. "Come on," he said. "The window." Before we could move, the stitched man, the host, spoke again. "Tonight, we remove the lie." All around us, the crowd began to move. Hands reached up, claws digging at faces. Masks tore away. Skin came with them. A woman near the corner pulled off her own smile, revealing black gums lined with teeth too long to belong. Another guest ripped open his shirt. Ribs splayed outward like wings, something beating beneath them. The air filled with a sound I can't describe, part chanting, part screaming. The floorboards beneath us shifted. The wood was slick. When I looked down, blood was running between the planks, following cracks toward the center of the room. Eric grabbed my arm. "Back door." We pushed through the crowd, or tried to. They didn't fight us, but they didn't let us through either. Every time I shoved past one, another turned to look. Their eyes, the ones that still had eyes, were pitch black. Someone screamed behind us. I looked back. A man in a white rabbit mask had lifted another guest clean off the ground. The sound of tearing followed, wet and final. Eric yanked my sleeve. "Don't look." We made it to the kitchen. The smell hit like a wall, copper and smoke. Those plates of meat were gone now. Only streaks of red remained, and something was moving inside the sink. It pulsed once, like a throat swallowing. Eric threw open a door at the end of the hall. It led to a narrow set of stairs. We climbed fast, barely able to see in the dark. Upstairs was colder, empty rooms, long hallways. But the sound followed, the chanting, the scrape of nails across the walls. Halfway down, Eric stopped. He turned to me, breathing hard. "They're not chasing us." I looked back. He was right. The stairs below were empty. The sound was coming from above. We turned toward the attic. The pull-down ladder was already open. Candlelight flickered from the crack. "I'm not going up there," I whispered. But before I could move, Eric's foot slipped. The floor buckled, and something grabbed his leg from below. I reached for him. He screamed, not a word, just a sound. Then he was gone, dragged straight through the floor. For a second, I saw what took him. A pale arm, fingers too long, nails black with blood. Then the boards sealed like nothing had ever broken. I didn't move, couldn't. The house creaked again, deeper this time, like it was breathing in. I ran, didn't care where, just ran. The hallway twisted. I turned corners that hadn't been there before. Every door I passed showed something worse inside. Shadows writhing, figures pressed against the glass, mouths moving silently. When I finally found a window, I didn't think. I threw myself through it. Glass tore my arms. My shoulder hit cold dirt. I rolled once, gasping. The fog outside was thicker now, rolling, alive. The house loomed above, windows burning blue. Screams carried through the mist. One of them was Eric's. I pushed myself up, running blind. My shoes slipped in wet grass. The ground felt soft, like it didn't want to let go. When I looked back, the house flickered. For a second, it looked normal again, quiet, dark, empty. Then the lights went out, and the fog stopped moving. I didn't stop running until I saw streetlights again. By the time I looked over my shoulder, the house was gone. Not dark, not hidden, gone. When people ask why I hate Halloween, I tell them the truth. It's not the dead you should fear coming back. It's the ones that never left.